One of the more impressive stretches of defensive back recruiting in recent history was added to this week with another commit for the class of 2023. More on that coming up. First, a reminder, please subscribe. If you have not done so, what are you doing? What are you here for? Hawkeye content. We got you covered here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Subscribe, like the video, helps the channel to grow. You're also welcome to donate to this channel. Find a link to do that in the description below. But the recent news that broke on Monday, Chicago defensive back John Nestor has committed to be an Iowa Hawkeye. Another three-star defensive back, big kid at 6'1", 190, projected more as a safety. You look at him on tape, he's a kid who's going to be a ball hawk. I know people compared him to Riley Moss. I think he's a bit taller than Riley. I'd have to look at Riley's metrics, but this is a kid who's going to get bigger, stronger. He's heading into his final year of high school. I mean, he's still got another year at Marist out of the Chicago area to grow physically and to fine-tune some of his defensive skills. But you watch him on tape, he's physical, all right? He attacks the ball. He understands inside leverage. He seems to really understand coverages. Now, I know that it's a whole new game when you get to the college level, but he does understand coverages. You can tell that on tape. And he's just going to be a kid who's going to make a difference. And I'm not saying he's going to play right away. This is going to be a big, big group. And I say big, I'm talking numbers-wise, a lot of depth once we hit 2023, assuming they can retain most of these guys. Now, somebody's probably going to transfer. I'm not going to take a guess at who that is. But remember, Brandon Diaz-Fernandez, he's a young guy who's on the roster right now. TJ Hall enrolled early. Xavier Wampa enrolled early. You got Sebastian Castro. You've got Orlando Trader and Cohen and Tringer. And I mean, just go down the list. A lot of guys, Deshaun Lee out of Michigan. It's going to be a stacked defensive back room. And I think a lot of credit needs to go to Phil Parker for what he's been able to do at that position, not only from a development standpoint, but from a recruiting standpoint. And John Nestor figures to factor in for playing time at some point after he arrives on campus. So, who did Iowa beat for the John Nestor sweepstakes? According to Rivals, Akron offered, Ball State, Bowling Green, Central Michigan, Iowa State did offer, Kansas, Kent State, Miami, Ohio. The Minnesota Golden Gophers offered, Northern Illinois offered, Purdue offered, Toledo offered, Western Michigan offered, and Wyoming offered. Now, according to Rivals, the following schools were interested, did not offer Nestor: Illinois, Nebraska, Northwestern, Vanderbilt, and Wisconsin. So 5 more Power 5 schools there. But that's a pretty typical offer list for a kid that commits to be a Hawkeye, especially as a defensive back. And listen, I'm not going to be surprised if this kid ends up being an NFL player. Like, this is what Phil Parker does. And I just say it every day. I say it every commitment, whether we're talking offense or defense. Discipline is a key with Iowa recruiting. And when you see someone that has discipline, I'll admit there have been times where Riley Moss has been a bit undisciplined. And I think that's one thing he can really improve during his senior year here in 2022 is discipline. And we saw, you watch some of John Nestor's highlight films. And again, this is just a highlight tape, right? Highlight reel. Because of his understanding coverages and recognizing tendencies, he's able to attack the ball better. But that can also come back to bite you if you're not disciplined in coverage. Now, John will probably end up being a safety at Iowa. You see him lining up out wide at Marist, but he's probably going to be a safety at 6'1", 190. Looks to be a strong tackler. I mentioned his physicality earlier. Iowa will figure out a way to get him on the field. And let's keep this in mind, too. Iowa just offered him about a month ago. So John, pretty quick to pull the trigger. And I will mention this, too. He was just in Iowa City this past weekend. So credit to the Iowa coaching staff and recruiters be able to get him to give them a verbal pledge. He will be back on campus, according to Rivals, back on campus June 24th. As we always say, got to keep recruiting these commits because other schools, they intervene and offer, and sometimes kids flip. But for the most part, Iowa commits do stay loyal. Again, congratulations to John Nestor. Congratulations to Phil Parker and that defense. Defensive back stable and growing as always.